Ho, ho, ho. Welcome to the Talkin Kop. We're here for another full-time match reaction. It is finished at Anfield. Liverpool won. Arsenal won. We've got a full house tonight. And boy, let me tell you, it was getting a little spicy in here before we went live. A little spicy. So hopefully we bring you a little bit of holiday entertainment before we all take off to spend time with our families for the holidays, if that's how you choose to celebrate it. But the calm one in the crowd, Goldie, how are you tonight?
I'm good. I kind of wish there was a backstage pass for the entire membership, as me and you play the parents driving on a very long journey with the children in the back, having a bit of a disagreement. And hopefully we can bring you some of that disagreement live.
Yeah, it was getting real juicy, so we had to just quick jump on live. So if I remember correctly, Brackie, you were saying Klopp should be sacked and all of our players are terrible. Maybe I misheard that. How are you, Brackie?
I'm all right, mate. I'm just very disappointed. I'm in the mindset of we probably needed to get 4 points from the last two games. I don't think 2 points is enough. I think it's a better performance than Man United. It's a very low party better performance than Man United because it was pretty average. But to me, we need to find a way of being ruthless to a goal again. And I think there are some fan favourites who are getting away with murder. And I think, to be honest, the ones who get slagged off a lot, I actually think are stepping up really well. I think there's a few big names that need a bit of the kick up the arse, personally.
And Kev, you had a slight disagreement with Mr. Brack before we came on air, but how are you this evening?
We always disagree. We like to.
Yeah, I'm glad. Look, the only positive I suppose you can come away with it. And look, I thought the performance was fine up until the final third. There was a lot to like in that 95 minutes. So many. I mean, you look at it. That was two top sides who are going to be fighting it out right the way through the season, and they slugged out a pretty even game, and they finished a draw. And if that was any other two sides you were watching, and they finished a draw, you'd be like, "Yeah, good game, enjoyed that," and you walk away. You're disappointed from our point of view because of the misses, the chances that we missed, and some of the decisions that were made in the game were absolutely disgraceful. That cost us 2 points, but ultimately, it got to a point in the game where it was vital that we come away with something, and it would have been an absolute disaster if we'd have found a way to lose that. As it stands at the minute, that we're a point off top at Christmas with is that the half? We're not at the halfway point yet, but we're nigh on.
No, one more
halfway point. Yeah, we're almost on the halfway point. So, and I honestly looking at this season, it's going to be a tight season. There's going to be sides are going to drop points all over the place. There's going to be games like this, and there's going to be sides are going to drop points, draws. You've got to see sides in and around the top 4 or 6 losing games that they shouldn't lose. It's important that you're in it. And at the minute, we're right smack in it. And that's all you can ask for, especially when you look at the fact that going into the season, this is the start of a build. And we're right smack in the middle of where we need to be. I'm all right with it. Not over the moon, not fucking smashing things against the wall. I'm all right with a lot of what I saw today. Unlike last week. Last week was shite. This
is talking about the 2 last Premier League games is one of those chalk and cheese situations because there was not a lot of positives to take from last week's home draw against Manchester United, especially not the quality of the game. It's one of those ones that even the neutrals.
The only positive, it was over. Thank God.
Yeah. I thought this was a cracking game. I think Kev hit the nail on the head that if you're a neutral, you're coming away from that going, great game. Like that's a great game of Premier League football. Both teams came to win. As much as it might bother Roy Keane, somebody saying that, it makes a stark difference from when one team just sets out to not concede and not get beat and get beat badly. Arsenal came out to play their game. We knew they were going to come out like that. And I mean, they came out of the blocks quite well, I would say. I mean, just zipping through the lineups, Curtis Jones gets the
Sorry, Scott's repeat there. Fucking comment is brilliant. Last week's performance, Wisters was shite. Yeah, It was left low shite, to be honest. Oh, there's some breaking news. Daniel De Bruyne has stopped Gerald Miller in the 10th round. And massive win.
That's just the breaking news. That's just the breaking news I've seen. Paul Joyce's tweet to say they think sadly Tsimikas has broke his collarbone.
Oh,
That's what it looked like.
Yeah,
which is when you see the player using their jersey as a makeshift sling. That's never.
It's a shoulder pop or a broken collarbone. So is that?
Yeah, so we've got some serious issues in this area with our left backs currently, where we no longer have a recognized senior left back. So yeah, Tsimikas gets his final start in what looks like a while. Ibu comes in beside Virgil van Dijk. Endo starts at the base of midfield. Jones off the left-hand side. And the surprising one for me, because I really, really thought we were going to see Darwin Núñez off the left with Gakpo through the middle, but instead Jurgen goes with Diaz off the left and Gakpo through the middle. Goldie, happy with that lineup? Surprised by that lineup?
It wouldn't have been the one I would have went. I definitely would have went with Núñez rather than Diaz. No agenda. It's just I don't think Diaz has been cutting the mustard much. So I just thought Núñez, if nothing else, lively. And just because I watch a lot of Arsenal, because one half of this house is quite happy, I would have actually put Kwanzaa in instead of Kanate. But I just think he's a better read. Wouldn't have got into so many combative things. But considering then later part of Kanate's game, grand, and then Fulham's finest in the middle, didn't really mind. He earned his spot. So, yeah, it was kind of pretty much predictable. I didn't think grabbing Birch's start and going by his time on the pitch, probably just as well he didn't. So, yeah, it was always going to be a shootout. There was no way Arsenal, they're not going to play any defensive-minded. They have a very good system. I think they were ahead of us in understanding what they're going to do instantly when they get the ball. So, yeah, it was all set up in a way that I wouldn't have disagreed. Núñez would have been the big one. And it didn't change watching all of Diaz's performance. So, Núñez would have been my major gripe.
And what about you, Brackie? That the 11 okay by you, or were you pulling your hair out when it dropped?
I personally would have started Núñez, and then it would have been a toss-up between Gakpo and Diaz. Probably going to be Goldie. I would have kept Diaz on the bench and started Núñez wide left because his performance against West Ham was really good. Yeah. And you can see with Ben White, when you run at him, he shits the bed. He does not like pace run at him. To be fair, not many fullbacks do. We saw with Zinchenko. He doesn't like that either. And at the moment with Diaz, I don't think it's the injury why he stopped running up people. I think it's confidence. I think it's in his head. I do. And listen, with what he went through with his dad and all that, I think if Jota was fit, I think he probably would have took Diaz out for a couple of weeks and just said to him, look, just, reset yourself a little bit. So I would
Christmas.
Yeah, that's what I would have done. But look, Jota's not available. Jota would have been perfect for today's game.
And he does a goal against the Arsenal.
Yeah, that's the only one I would have changed. The rest of it, kind of what I expected. No real surprises other than Núñez. But I suppose because Núñez the full 90, he probably wasn't going to start anyway.
Yeah. And Cork's finest, Mr. O'Sullivan, same for you? Happy enough?
Yeah, pretty much. The only thing I'd say about Darwin Núñez, he's played more games forever than anyone else at the club this season. So the fact that you had the option to take him out and use Luis Diaz as an option, it's fine. You got to think, Klopp will look at this as, Arsenal is a huge game, but Burnley there's still, when we play Burnley in a few days' time, it's still the same 3 points on offer, and, we all get hyped up in, this is a huge game, an important fixture. Yeah, it's 3 points, it's 1 point, it's no points. It's the same amount the next game that you still have to be up for, that you still have to put a side out for. And we don't get the turnaround that Arsenal got, unfortunately. We played Wednesday night, Saturday night. We're playing on the 26th.
Tuesday.
Again. So it's like our turnaround is really fast. On the back of a hard week that we just put down. Where we had 3 games in 6-7 days. And we're having to do that again now. And as we're seeing with the injuries, they're starting to add up, and that's a problem now. We've cost us out that's one less defender now that we have an option to be able to rotate anyone else. So that's a real serious problem.
Isn't it mad?
Arsenal don't play again until the 28th.
28th. That's mental, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely mental.
So
it must be nice. Must be nice. Scouser Pete.
That would have been about the only change. I think everything else picked itself. Sorry.
Yeah, we're going to have 5 games in 13 days. So, I mean, it is the festive season. It's got to be Jurgen Klopp's most and least favorite time of the entire year. But, I mean, Kev, I'll stick with you. Before the game started, the crowd seems like it responded to Jurgen Klopp's comments after the United game. They were loud. They were up for it. And holy shit, did it spur Arsenal on. I mean, within 30 seconds, Allison is palming the ball away from a Saka cross. And
Arsenal started the game brilliantly. That Arsenal probably they dominated for the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And they got out with blocks. They started really well, and they were flying at us. We were under pressure. No time in the ball. Nobody could get a foot on the ball to play out. It was helter-skelter football. It was absolute madness at the start. And that was fine because it got the crowd up. The Arsenal fans got up, so did the Liverpool fans. Liverpool fans didn't go sheepish and fall away and just wait for something to happen. They were right up for it as well. And look, anyone who thought going into this game that Arsenal are the Arsenal of 3 or 4 years ago, that they come to Anfield and fold, that ship has sailed. Those days are gone. This is a very good Arsenal side, and they're littered with good young players with things to prove. They're not flaky, but will they run out of juice? Possibly, but they started the game really well. And at one stage, it was a case of just try and stay in it. But the game started with, give away a silly free kick, but the guys can go into it. But even when the goal went in, I was like, yeah, it's fine. They're a good side. They're going to get chances. Never thought we were going to get a clean sheet. Always felt like we were going to have to score and score more than one. But given the fact that they were having a go, that we were always going to have chances. There was always going to be space for us to play in. So I wasn't worried. I always fancy Arsenal Liverpool games always have goals. Very rare.
Second highest scoring fixture in the Premier League. So
it's very rare that you see a bad game between these two sides, and it's very rare that you see a goalless game. So I knew they were going to score. It's just disappointing how they scored, but that's a different discussion. But in fairness, I thought once they had their first 15 minutes, but once we got into the game, we grew into it. I never felt that unless we made an absolute howler at playing out from the back, I didn't think Arsenal were capable of opening us up. I thought we defended in the whole for the vast majority of that game. I thought we defended really well. I thought the midfield defensively was pretty decent. At the back, we were solid. We were really in control. I was really worried about Martinelli and Saka having, holding high lines and being high and wide and giving us absolute problems. Yeah, they had moments in the games, but I never felt like they were threatening the goal with it, bar the odd moment here and there. But they're a good side. They're going to get moments in games. I mean, the guys can talk about the goal, or, they'll go through the goal. But yeah, the start was helter-skelter, and the game pretty much played out like that. It never really calmed down, did it? It was always full-on, high intensity. It was proper end-to-end at times. It was a full-on, proper Premier League game. It was good to watch. It was entertaining to watch. But
I mean, if we can
frustrated and what have you.
If we can take our red-tinted glasses off, I mean, that's the biggest takeaway from it. Is that's just what you want from a football match. Because I mean, if you watch the West Ham Manchester game, the early kickoff this morning, that was dreadful. I mean, to the furthest thing from entertainment. So I mean, Goldie, it's 3 minutes in. Yeah, Kev says we give away a cheap free kick. Nice pass by Odegaard, sails it in. Gabriel is just the right side of onside. Nice little flick header. I mean, Allison can't do anything, can he? It's a good goal. And as Anthony Gray says here, this comment, we really need to improve on set pieces, both defensively and offensively. Tough goal to concede.
Yeah, it just seemed to be a trio of errors, and it just kind of started with Konate just letting Gabriel take off, particularly from the behind the goal camera. It was just weird. Gabriel took off, and Konate's just standing there doing Scooby Doo, looking
putting
around.
His arm in the air. Yeah.
Gapgo decides to go around the long way to kind of put in some pressure on what's possibly going to be a header. And Allison seems to have completely misread where the ball was heading, because he just gets stuck absolutely in no man's land. So, yeah, it did. I don't know. It was a bit like rabbit in the headlights. It reminded me that Arsenal started like what we did in the mid-period of Rodgers with Suarez and everything, just blasting teams out from the start. It looked a poor goal to me, but I'm not a professional footballer. I'm not a professional manager, so yeah, I know.
Quiet. We all are. We all are top of our field for it.
Look, set pieces are worked on, so you know there's no point in going always bad mistake. They figure they train with each other. They know where the ball's going, but it looked to me, Konate not moving with him, and he was just at that point a yard in space. And as I say, Gapgo was coming across and decided to go, rather than go literally into him, decided to go a long way around. He wasn't getting there. And then, as I say, love Allison. There's no doubt we've got an amazing keeper, but he looked like he was absolutely stranded. So, yeah, I'm not sure there's much you can do when it's a triple bad choice. So, yeah, 1-0.
Well, Brackie, do you agree with Richard Lefebvre, who says, in fact, if Allison doesn't make a false start to come for that free kick and stays on his line, it's an easy save. That goal is on Allison. Sorry to say it. Fair assessment?
Probably a bit. It's a very good header. I think it's more on Gakpo and Konate. Probably more on Konate because it's his man and he can see where he is. And he just, to be fair, Gabriel muscles Konate off the ball too easily for my liking. And if I'm honest, it's probably the only mistake Konate makes. I actually thought Konate was excellent today.
He was.
And Gakpo, he drops just that bit earliest, you know. Maybe Allison should stay in his line, but listen, the stretch of the ball, he must think he can get it. And then realizes the defense hasn't dropped as deep as we were expecting. But to me, it's more on Konate, I think, than Allison. But look, I texted Kev after 20 minutes and said, we deserve to be 1-0 down. The difference to last year, where I thought Arsenal started very similarly last year, is we definitely made sure it didn't go to 2. You know, and that was largely down to great defensive work by Endo, Jones, Szoboszlai to a point. I thought they actually protected the fullbacks really well, and Van Dijk and Konate managed the situation. And for all the shit he gets, and most of it I do think is unfounded, defensively, Trent was excellent today. Martinelli was in his pocket. And Arsenal fans were like, but he was. Martinelli was in his pocket. And, these are sort of things we'll do. And before he broke his shoulder, Tsimikas was doing pretty well against Saka because, Saka's rapid. But the reason he did well is Jones most time was doubling up with him because that's what you have to do when you play Saka. So this point with the start, it is, as I was saying to Kev, it's probably not a game you want to go 1-0 down because we've had more game time than Arsenal at the moment. So you kind of don't want to be chasing games all the time, especially when you're playing, 5 games in 13 days. You want to be able to, at some point, take a lead and manage games a bit. But listen, the good thing about this Liverpool side is Man United at home apart, you generally always want Liverpool to get a goal at some point. And look, it was good a striker finally got a goal to get the monkey off the back. I still think the strikers need to do a lot more than what they are doing. But listen, we'll talk about the goal. The goal's brilliant. But, I mean, if Arsenal fans think the PGMLO want them to win the league, then they might have to reassess that conversation because I don't give a shit what the supposed voice of fucking football, which, honestly, stop listening to Gary Neville. If you can't see the man has an agenda to push whatever bollocks narrative he wants, it's untrue. And Carragher's a little bit of a parrot for him at the moment. There is a rule that says if you are trying to stand up and you're using your arm to brace a fall, yes, it can't be a penalty. He slips, he sticks his arm out and just forearm smashes it wide. It's the most obvious penalty you'll ever see in your life.
Yeah.
Don't buy the bullshit that Gary Neville will feed to you. Because Gary Neville was telling us, and Kev will tell us this. There's probably one thing me and Kev will agree on is Gary Neville was pretty much telling most of the game once they've got it to 1-1. Arsenal just hanging in here, Arsenal needs to play better. The lucky Liverpool haven't scored, and that 1-1. Well, that's a championship performance. That they've managed the situation. They haven't. Arsenal have got away. Second half, Arsenal have got away with a 1-1, and that's how you have to look at it. That's why I'm frustrated, because I feel Arsenal have got away with 1-1 and I'm happy with it. But I actually think second half Liverpool should have took Arsenal the cleaners. I think they were there to be taken, especially in the first 20 minutes of the second half. That's why I'm a bit frustrated.
Yeah. I mean, you handed me a perfect segue there, Chris, when you said after 20 minutes you sent Kev a message and said we should be 1-0 down, because it was after 18 minutes that we get the somewhat obligatory VAR controversy of the day. And
ridiculous.
I mean, Kev, I can't. So you guys are talking about Gary Neville. Thankfully, I am geo-blocked from having to be exposed to Gary Neville. I cannot watch Sky stuff that gets put up on Twitter because it's not available in my location. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. So I had Connor McNamara and Jim Beglin on, and Michael Owen and Ian Wright were on at halftime. And for the life of them, none of them could figure out how that's not a handball. And I mean, Kev, I had Jim Beglin saying, well, he slips, so it's not deliberate. Are the only penalties for handball that can be given for deliberate handballs? Because I thought a deliberate handball was a red card offense. Like, am I just misinterpreting the rules, Kev?
They've taken the word deliberate or intentional, intent out of the rule book. Look, I for the life of me can't understand how that's not handball. I don't care. It wasn't as if he slipped and planted his hand on the floor and the ball bounced off his hand. He flicks it around the corner. If you're playing basketball, you're holding your forward off you and you're flicking the ball around the corner to spin in behind it. It was, as someone put it, he's signing for the LA Lakers in January. Well, he's not, but you get where I'm coming from. Detroit Pistons could probably use him, but it's just one of those things that if the on-field referee gives it, it's never going to get overturned. He must have seen it for him to turn around and have I can't wait to hear this conversation. He must have told him,
but it's not released.
He's slipping. It's not. I've seen it. It's not handball. And if that's the conversation that happened, David Coote, who's in the VAR, can't then turn around and say, "Are you? You need to go and look at this again," because he's literally told him what he's seen, and it's echoed what actually happened.
But Carragher's now reiterating this bollocks narrative, going, well, when the ref does give a penalty, they don't like to then censor the official. What do you mean they don't like?
That's horseshit.
Language. You're a paid fucking professional. If you think it's a penalty and the ref should, you tell the ref, look at we need to call out, and this is what the people won't do. Call up this mate bollocks, which is mate, you've missed it. Go and look at it again. That's all it is. I've got 15 camera angles.
It's not even that. It's literally, this is a thing where it comes from the Premier League. They've come out with this stuff that nobody else in Europe has come out with, where they call this high bar nonsense. Clear and obvious nonsense. A decision is either right or it's wrong.
Yeah.
And for me, and I think any fan, Arsenal fans will even look at this. Yeah, we got away with that one, and we're lucky. But even the Arsenal fans I know have said it to me.
Well, Theo Walcott, when he said to, did you think about it? And he said, he got half laughed and he goes, what do you think of it? And he laughed and he went, I'd ask for it. And he goes, if one is, and he just turned around and goes, look at the reaction of him. He says, Odegaard looks guilty and the two players around him look worried. He goes, and he went, I think they've got away with it. And Theo Walcott will openly admit he's very Arsenal biased, which he will be. He's an ex-Arsenal player. And he was going, I'd be asking for that. He said,
look, players know. Carragher was adamant all the way through that half that was a pen. And people will say it's red bias. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. It's a pen. And it should have been given. The thing is, it wasn't. And it was important that because it wasn't, that we didn't let it get in our heads.
Yeah.
And we just decided, like last season with Xhaka having his moment, and the year before with Arteta having his moment, that we took that sense of injustice and turned it into the performance. And it really was from then on that we started to really come into the game. And for the rest of that half, bar one instance, we were really good. It was frustrating to say the least, but for me, I used the show's Twitter account at halftime, and I put a still image of you can't put videos on a fan channel account, so I had the still image. I wish I could put the video up, I couldn't. I put the still image up, and I know that it's a Liverpool fan account, but there's a lot of other fans from other clubs who watch it as well. And to a man, not a single solitary one has made a comment to say, "Yeah, lads, you're reaching here." Nah, sorry, that's a pen. Although, in fairness, there was a worse decision than that made in the Nottingham Forest game earlier on today. And when you see it, if you haven't seen it already, it just highlights for me, this weekend in total, for me, highlights how inept some of the officials are in this league. And I think
you're being kind with some, Kev. You're being very kind.
But lads sent off for a clean tackle. It's the cleanest tackle you'll see of the weekend.
Yeah.
Second yellow.
Yeah. But that one, I mean, we're talking about Willie Balley's second yellow card. When I was watching it, the commentators thought it was straight red. It was the second yellow, which can't be reviewed. So it's an error in the moment by the referee, and you can kind of get it when you watch it at full speed from kind of the angle that the ref's standing at. I can kind of get that. I'll come to you, Goldie, before we move on from what should have been the handball penalty. Before we do, just a couple of quotes. I had the lovely human raisin Dermot Gallagher on Ref Watch at halftime on the international feed, and he said, quote, "It shows the subjective nature, and I think sometimes we look for too many reasons to justify a decision." And I mean, you pair that with where these ones from Ashley L here from Jurgen Klopp. She's the best for us. Thank you again, Ashley. Klopp, I'm pretty sure somebody will explain it to me why it wasn't a handball, but I don't know how. And then he continues to say, "I don't say the ref can't see it, but when somebody sits in his office, how can you not come to the conclusion it might be worth having another look at it?" I mean, do we go over the top? It's almost Christmas. Can we do hot takes, Goldie? Can we say it's scandalous? Are we allowed to say corrupt? Anybody have any of those?
It's an
Brackie, you're you got any of those cards that the Everton fans have?
No, it's not corrupt. It's just inept. And people need to get. This is why sometimes they get away with it, because people start going, "Oh, it's corrupt, it's biased." It's not. They're just inept. It doesn't make it any better.
Goldie, what do you think? You think it's
corruption? No, it's not corrupt. It's a penalty. How the choice of studs that Odegaard decides to wear can work as a penalty against the other team, because he was slipping all over the place. So, the nonsense of that he slipped. He never fell to the ground. He didn't land on the ball. He literally basketballed it. But I think
Gary Neville's giving him the out. This is the other thing that doesn't help is but commentators who don't know the rules are giving refs the out now.
I think the bottom line, thanks to the Spurs game and other VAR decisions, I think basically VAR is at a war with itself, not the technology, but having been considered too fussy and interfering. Everybody got on the bandwagon of we need to have it on field decisions back to the old school. And it seemed the few moments it went on, he wasn't going to be contradicted, and which I find extraordinary considering they know the world is watching. They know channels can just replay anything that's gone on. No, I don't think it's a mad conspiracy. I think just at this stage, they can't figure out what to do with VAR, and they're jumping between two camps. It was a penalty all day. As I say, Odegaard, he knew it. As I say, again, the idea that a player chooses his own footwear and then it turns out not to be correct. Were we robbed? Was it deliberate? No, just another really, really bad decision, and it just happened to go against us.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for
it. As Megan McCallion says, they are getting worse and worse each week. But I can tell you what would make the end of this week just a little bit better. That's if you're feeling a little lucky. Check out the link to footballprizes.co.uk in the show description, and on the Talkin Kop social media account, there is a signed and framed Dominic Szoboszlai shirt up for grabs. 299 tickets are available. Tickets are £3.95 a piece. You can buy tickets up until St. Stephen's /Boxing Day. Get on it, support it out there, because that's going to be a real nice prize for somebody to get. It's going to look real good on somebody's wall right there. I don't know who to come for with this. Who is the most anti-Trent inverting one of the three of you? Kev O'Sullivan puts his hand up. He is against the idea of Trent going into that quarterback role in the middle of the park. And in the 29th minute, Kev, Trent took up that position and take it away.
Yeah. And I've got receipts for this because I said to plenty of people in private messages, and I said it on this members shows as well. For this one game, I would have played Trent inverted all day long, purely and simply because of how Arsenal play a 4-3-3. You need the extra man in the middle to outnumber them 4v3, and from there you play. And I genuinely thought that goal was coming because he was quarterbacking from there all game long. Some of the passes that he was playing even before this were ridiculous. It was almost get to the stage where I was watching, I was thinking, please, they don't all have to be Hollywood passes. But between him and Virgil doing it, they were coming off more often than not most of the time. So it was no surprise that when he got a ball that deep, that he played that ball out. It was a perfect pass. And it was a perfect flight because the flight and pace on the ball isolated the fullback. If he lofted that, Arsenal have time to get more players back. It was the pace that he put on it and the spin that he put on it to hold the ball up in the pitch. What the hell? Sorry, no, all I just heard outside.
Santa's early at Kev's house. Holy shit!
Nah, man, someone's blown a trumpet outside the house.
As you do. As you do.
Yeah, wrong holiday. That was last month.
In a farming village on a Saturday night. Yeah, that's what you do. But it was just one of those perfect passes. And it was a typical, if you were going to copy and paste Mo Salah goal to define his Liverpool career, that's the goal. It was, chopped back onto his left foot. It was perfect. Hey, if Santa's coming, then I tell you, Santa can bring cans because
I reckon it's the only Arsenal fan in Kev's village has hunted you down and he's blowing his horn.
Trumpeting out 1-0 to 1-1 to the Arsenal. 1-1.
I think
I realized too the fact that this is our last show on the channel before Christmas that I should have made Kev and Brackie change their names to Myrrh and Frankincense to go along with Goldie. I absolutely dropped the ball on that, and I will be disappointed until next.
Let's be honest, but there's no way we're three wise men though. So let's be fair. no one's buying that.
No. It was a brilliant goal. And I mean, the thing is, it was on all day. Salah had Zinchenko on toast for most of the game. But it was probably the first time that he got to isolate Zinchenko one-on-one. Usually when he got the ball wide in the left, there was two players with him. There was usually two. But the pace on that ball allowed allowed Mo to get one-on-one with him, and he absolutely rinsed him. It was a brilliant finish because Mo had a lot to do from there to score that. It was an absolute banging goal, well deserved as well because we were really good following the penalty that wasn't given. We were putting them under the cosh. We were really putting them under pressure. So it was well deserved. It was 1-1, 29 minutes gone. And anything could happen from there. It was genuinely one of those games that it flowed both ways. So I was just delighted to get back into it, to be honest.
Ashley L., this is why you're such a valued member of the Talkin Kop chat community. Hark, the herald angel sings, glory to the Egyptian king. I mean, Goldie, it's besides how unbelievably good, I haven't seen the data on how long the pass from Trent was. It must have been 60, 70 yards. Perfectly weighted, like Kev says, but Zinchenko just basically shows him right inside onto his left foot. I mean, you cannot give Mo Salah that. But finally, for once, Mo gets to cut in on that left foot, and he doesn't put it into row 57, at the end of the stadium. But it's a hell of a finish for him. And he moves into 10th on the Premier League all-time goal-scoring list and leaves one little snot-nosed shit Michael Owen in his wake. So happy days for Mo.
No, there was that's Trent's Christmas present to us all. It was probably the assist of the season with red tinted glasses on. Beautiful, because before he'd sprayed one or two around and they certainly hadn't worked out. When he looked up, considering we were chasing the game, you kind of want obviously your team to equalize as quick as possible. And then he pinged it and it was a thing of beauty. And for once, Mo actually in his older style got it under control and smashed it. But I don't think I've watched a game where a guy has made so many bad decisions on a football pitch and then scored a worldie like it. So yeah, it was a beautiful goal. Absolute. It probably made watching the rest of the game more frustrating. But as an isolated moment, it was perfection. And I had Trent and I'd captained Mo in fantasy.
Ooh, nice. Nice. Yeah, see, I, like a fool, looked at the fixtures and went, ooh, Ollie Watkins is going to have a field day against Sheffield United. So all the fool me and all the other Ollie Watkins.
I nearly did it too. I looked at Watkins and I said, you know what? This is a serious points accumulator. Anyway, I didn't.
Infuriating. But luckily, as we're going around, the next big talking point lands on the absolute perfect person for it. I mean, we don't need to dwell on it too much, Brackie, but I mean, Bukayo Saka gives Tsimikas the shove. He goes into Klopp, breaks his fucking collarbone. I mean, honestly, we give you a hard time for hating all Greek people, but especially anyone's named Kostas or Tsimikas that play for Liverpool. But I mean, it's so unfortunate because he's been playing well.
Yeah, yes. And I've openly said in the show, I'm not his biggest fan. I'm not going to pretend I am now, but I can't fault him. You know, he's been really good. And I've said on shows, he's been really good. Which people seem to be absolutely upset that I'm not still trying to push an agenda that he's shit. And I'm not. He's fair. What I have an issue with is another gobshite that we have, who's also an ex-Liverpool captain, arguably the worst Liverpool captain because he's so mentally weak, of Jamie fucking Redknapp, who basically said, Klopp's got to be more careful standing where he is. He's got to be aware of what's going on. That's why he fell asleep. Because honest to God, this is what we have to deal with. But this is Jamie Redknapp, and I'll say it now. He's the shittest captain we've ever had in the Premier League. He typifies to me why Liverpool was so shit in the 90s and early 2000s. He is physically and mentally weak. And when Roy Keane ripped the arse out of him because he was cheering on Spurs for being top at Christmas and saying that we're full of internationals, and Roy Keane went, that's why he didn't win anything. That's the kind of muppet we have to deal with. But yeah, so my head exploded at Arsenal when Jamie Redknapp saying, well, if Klopp doesn't stand there, then Tsimikas is injured. Well, maybe if Saka doesn't fucking push him over when he doesn't need to. That also fucking helps. But this is the kind of bullshit we have to put up with. You know, it's terrible for the Greek because he's in good form, and and he still would have been playing probably till mid-January. Because even if Robbo was back, say he's back for the Arsenal FA Cup game, which he might be, you've still got to break him in gently because physically he'll be okay. But there's always a risk, as Kev says, with even if you had to shoulder surgically put back together, he might pop again. So we're now down to five fit seated defenders.
Yeah, it's not great. I have to pull you up on this, Brackie. I just pulled up the LFChistory.net and went to the captain's debut page. I mean, John Flanagan was captain in a Premier League game for Liverpool against Southampton.
Club captains. Not somebody who captain for one game like Jose Enrique captain for one game. I'm talking
that was the FA Cup. Captain. That was the first one I thought of.
Yeah, full-on club captain. You're the captain for the season. Absolute dog shit. Honest to God. I've no time for Jamie Redknapp. He's like Jermaine Gillis. He's like Jermaine Gillis. If you heard him talk, you generally thought it was fucking Messi who'd been playing. He says nothing of any interest. He says anything I could hear in the pub. There's no insight from him. And when you're blaming a manager, don't stand there. And he stood actually in his technical area. So it's not like he stood outside his technical area. Mad. Absolute mad. Yeah. So that was shite. Because I felt sorry for the Greek. To be fair to Joe, I think he had a shaky first 5-10 minutes when he came on. But after that, Joe was Joe. He was really good. fuck me, he nearly scored. I scored. Yeah, it was nearly got exploded. I thought he'd scored twice. Honestly, the second one of the second half, which comes out, is it's all he does everything right. Honestly, it's so unlucky. But listen, Joe again, proving what he is, a very good defender.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
and extremely valuable to Liverpool.
Extremely. But yeah.
Yeah.
Just to let you know about Trent now. He now is equal the record for most Premier League assists for a defender. And
who did he tie?
Interesting. Robbo. Not bad. We're not bad. They're not bad, these guys. And the other one is, which I don't know if it's a big deal or not, is that's now Salah's 149th goal. 149th goal. I think it's in the league. That's now more goals than Alan Shearer got for Newcastle. Interestingly. Random start that came on Twitter. I was like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Kev, before we get into the halftime, I mean, the second half, I think we can just take as one giant thing, but just to act like we're fair and balanced.
The Martinelli chance.
Do you think, Kev, if Saka goes down when he rounds Alisson, do you think he gets a penalty? Because I think he does.
Yeah, I think he does as well. I think he was. Yeah. If you're an Arsenal fan, I think he's a bit too honest for his own good. But saying that, I don't think there was enough contact there to bring him down either. But from then on, I mean, look, he got the run on Joe Gomez, and Joe is quick, but Saka is proper rapid. He's proper rapid, and if he gets the run on you, I don't care if you're Usain Bolt, you're not catching him when he gets a head start on you. So the fact that he cut inside, I think this is one of those moments that a forward took a second touch. Because it's Alisson and goal.
Yeah,
Martinelli should have first timed that. And if it was any other goalkeeper, he does. But because it's Alisson, he decides to secure his touch and make sure of it. And he absolutely fluffed his lines. It was a howler of epic proportions. And he's ultimately cost his side 2 points. Because they got away with one with the penalty. That was up there. And it was eclipsed in the second half. But at the time, that was as bad a miss as you're likely to see. It was, and when you're away from home at a title rival and you're presented with an open goal and you don't take it, questions should be asked. It was a poor. He should have scored. But I honestly think the reason he didn't score is because it's Alisson living rent-free in his head. That he thought he needed to be sure rather than take the gamble of the first time shot. But he has to score that. He just has to.
Yeah, I don't know if your feed was the same as mine because just moments before that, Arsenal looked like they were countering and Trent makes an incredible interception where he reaches up with his foot and pulls the ball out of the air. And I was getting a replay of Trent's defensive play, and then next thing they put that short, and all you're seeing is the ball hit the back of the net, and it was like, what the fuck? What the fuck just happened? It's like, oh shit, he missed. Oh, he missed.
Whoever was the director for the Sky feed, because Sky were broadcasting for the world feed. We all have different commentators, but it's the same camera crew who are broadcasting for everyone. So when the director decides to pull away to show a replay, then
it's not quite
does it for everybody.
Do you remember the Santander one years ago where they were showing the replay of someone's shot and then it went, he was and said, oh, Newcastle have conceded. It didn't show them. They missed the whole goal. They had to show replays of the goal that they missed because they showed a replay of somebody missed kicking. It was dead funny.
Yeah. So, I mean, nice to see we got a little Arsenal representation in here tonight. Arsenal Fan Circle channel says Martinelli didn't get the right touch on that one. The ball fell behind his stride. He's been struggling all season, and Alisson has been immense this season. Both very, very accurate, those last two comments. I didn't really see a replay, so I can't speak on the first half of that, but Martinelli has been struggling. I've dropped him from my FPL. And Alisson this season, like every season, is, of course, fucking immense. He's the best goalkeeper in the world. Goldie, I know that you got kind of a tight out here because you got a little gig you're heading off to tonight. So give me your overall thoughts on the second half and the game in general in case we got to say goodbye to you quickly.
Yeah.
Specifically the 5-on-1.
Yeah, look, it bobbled. I have far harsher notes till quite about 2 minutes later. They kind of showed the chance. I think they learned from their mistake of cutting away to show a replay, so they waited with the bobble. Yeah, look, it was a great break. I think the pass up was fairly. It was only going to hit the final player on the break, and he was unlucky with the bobble. But I found Salah's decision making today quite annoying. It didn't surprise me. The second half, it did nothing really struck out to me, bar the knee on knee for Diaz, which looked like it was going to be worse than what it looks like it is. Look, my takeaway from it is we played Arsenal, and I think Arsenal will be there. And you can get into all the cliches. They'll bottle it. They'll drop off. They're Arsenal. They play a certain style of football, and they're going to cause teams problems, and we shouldn't be any exception. So, disappointment is what I take away from today. I think they were there, particularly the second half, for the taking. They didn't really get a grip on the game till 70 minutes. And I suppose when the subs happened, I was expecting better. Gravenberch, I thought, stank the place out of it. Nunes did Nunes things, didn't really get any chances. And my whole take from the game, Matt, and disappearing Kev is probably gone out to meet the horn player. And Brackie is that I'm with Brackie. I'll be honest, frustrated. I think they were there for the taking. I don't think our front three, again, were too brilliant. We scored a great goal, and it is points dropped. But, the other thing is you can't just go, it's points dropped, it's all over. It's against Arsenal. You know what I mean? So I know Kev's also had a very valid point. 3 points is 3 points. But I think you set markers down when you take out a City. You take out, I know it sounds funny, Spurs. But if you take out Arsenal, it's psychologically a big 3 points rather than your standard beating Luton.
Disappointing. You just want to put pressure on City. You wanted to come back when City played Everton going, God, we're like 9, 10, 12 points ahead of them. Just listen, could City go and run and catch that up? Probably. At some point they will go on a run, City, because they've got too many good players. And listen, this probably isn't going to be a season where you need 95, 96 points to win the league. But I'm with you a little bit. I think just been a couple of times this season when we've had the opportunity to lay a little bit of a marker down. You've gone, at some point in the title winning, you're going to win a title. At some point you do lay that marker down. Listen, it's early. It's still 20 games to go. That marker might be laid down in 3 weeks' time. We'll go, that's the game where you go, it's right. Luckily,
I guess the worries
the top three, the top four or the top four, forget Spurs, they'll drop away.
It's the injuries. The injuries is starting to get a bit worrying. I obviously don't know every team in the Premiership. I don't watch them all weekly, but ours just seem to be mounting up. And the only thing about it is maybe it means we're fresher legs come February because there'll be so many coming back. But
yeah, I mean, Arsenal-wise, I think they've got one. I don't think they have many. City have had a couple. Haaland's been in and out. Villa are starting to creak injury-wise, a bit like us.
Yeah, Newcastle.
Spurs got loads, but you all go through that spell. This is where you find out what your squad players can do. I mean, I know me and Kev have had our set two before the thing, but the one thing I would say is I actually think a lot of the squad players who've come in, who are probably undermined, have done really well. Endo, excellent today. And Endo takes a lot of shit.
Let me just cut in here.
He was excellent.
A comment from Anthony Boylan that I saved, and this goes on to what you're saying, Brackie, that His Royal Highness Gary Neville, Lord of Football, said Arsenal had better players in every position, forgetting the fact that Salah can do what nobody else can do on the pitch. I thought Declan Rice had a good game. I thought Endo had a great game for us in the middle of the park. He takes that yellow card, his standard yellow card. When did he get that? It was pretty early, wasn't it?
Midway through the first half?
Oh, no, it was the 48th minute. It was third minute injury time in the first half. So he played the entire second half, I think it's got to be the third or fourth time this season now that he's played at least a half of football on a yellow card. But he has really grown into this team.
Yeah.
But again, Gary Neville, the voice of football, who talks out his arse, we all know he does. Oh, the best, that Arsenal midfield that's so good. How many times that Arsenal midfield empty the centre? And this is why I'm frustrated is Liverpool just didn't take advantage, because Liverpool a few times were 3-on-2, 4-on-2, just final ball wasn't quite right. That Arsenal midfield away from home empties so many times that Rosenbergs, that was us. We'd be going mad going, where's the DM? Where's the running back? This is outrageous. This is silly behaviour. You don't do this away from home. Arsenal got away with it. And Declan Rice, he's the DM, but his two mates either side of him did piss all over. Havertz was a ghost again, and Odegaard wasn't much better. And I think that's the problem Declan Rice has got at the moment. I think his two mates either side of him just disappear away from home, and he's left to firefight far too much.
Yeah, I mean, Kev, what about you? Do you think that Arsenal had better players in every position across the pitch? Because I thought there was a fair number of our players. I thought Saliba had a great game. It's pretty hard to pick between the four center halves on both teams. I think our fullbacks played better than their fullbacks did.
Look, you always see that whenever you see two really good sides, what you normally end up seeing is where both defenses come out on top of when you look at the players. Generally, if you're coming out an even game, two good sides, it's usually a forward is the one who makes a difference. The back fours on both sides usually have good games. Middle of the park, they usually cancel each other out. It's normally a 50-50, you have a bit, we have a bit type of game. But I thought we were better in midfield. The only thing I'd say about our midfield is I thought Damos ran out of juice. I think on 70 minutes, I thought his legs were gone. He started to underhit passes, and he was players. They were starting to play around him a lot more, especially in the last 10 minutes. Then when we made the changes, everything seemed to be rushed when you wanted someone to slow it down and just pen Arsenal in a bit, and it didn't come, unfortunately. But nip back quickly to the injuries. Arsenal are missing 4 players through injury at the minute. We have Thomas Partey out, Tomiyasu out, Urin Timber is out, and Vieira's out. Yeah, Vieira's out as well. So for us, we're missing Thiago, Stefan, Joe Matip, Joshua.
Sorry, Matt. We're struck by Matt's cat eating a plant, which is
an improvement.
Joshua, Doak. Well, Doak is out until April, apparently. Robertson out until mid to late February.
Jeez.
Well, they say
McAllister, you're talking January. So, and then you're going to add Costas to that. Our squad now is threadbare.
Yeah.
Right? And it was threadbare when you look at the bench today, when you were left with McConnell, Clark, Bradley, Kwanzaa, Kelleher. They were the options left on the bench. All right. They emptied everything on that could affect the game, really. And they tried everything that they could. And the frustrating thing is that when we had the wood on them in the second half in midfield, we didn't capitalize it. And we didn't capitalize on it because the forward 4 players, I think, 3 plus them when the change came, they didn't do enough. They didn't do enough to affect the game in a positive way. And the one chance, because every side in most games will get that one moment. They'll get that one chance. Arsenal had that one chance with Martinelli, and he didn't take it. We had that one chance in the second half where it was a gilt-edged chance, and you have to take it.
Yeah.
You have to take that chance.
I think the frustration also in the last probably 5 minutes. You know, in 5 minutes time, you hear the roar. You think, right, we'll get one last chance now, because you always don't expect it. Never came. It was that. No. I think that's where you're a bit like. It wasn't really like that sort of rousing. You know, we've come off draws, where we've like, the last 10 minutes you've had a real go and it's not fell for you, or the keeper's made a good save, you got wrong. It happens. The last 10 minutes you're a bit like, it really sort of happened.
No.
And that's what it was
Well,
a bit like.
folks,
Yeah.
the bad news or the good news for many of you is I've got to go. I'm starting a band with a horn player from Cork. We're going to do.
Tell him I said he's only a langer.
I'm going to do Greek jazz, babe.
Yeah. Tell him I said he's only a langer.
I said it before to everybody in the chat and on the channel. Have a great Christmas. If you don't celebrate Christmas, have a great Monday. And final shout out to the prison/detention services who allowed Gav to do the watch along in their exercise yard during the week for West Ham. All it was missing was barbed wire, but he's allowed to have smokes. They must have shipped them in through.
Gav is the richest inmate in that facility with the amount of smokes he went.
He's waiting to hear for a drone dropping over, and obviously Emmett's a prison guard because he still had his tag on for work. There's somebody now in Russia getting a Visa card with his tag. Gentlemen and ladies of the Liverpool supporters base, have an absolutely fantastic Christmas. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, just have a great weekend. Look after yourselves. And as I say, I'll put up a recording with the Cork horn player. He's on tour at the moment, apparently. He likes to play a few spoons in the windows. Ciao.
See you, Goldie. Have a good Christmas, man. Have a good Christmas.
Slán.
See, this is the sort of hard out you get when you're dealing with proper celebrities like Chris Golding. So, boys, that's pretty much about enough. We're quickly approaching the hour here. I really thought we'd be able to get Goldie for the full hour. Do we want to do man of the match? I'm going to go first because I just have to point out a little block of notes that I have from the 79th to 80th minute. I think Ibou Konate made 4 blocks in our penalty area on shots. I thought Ibou Konate was so fucking good today. He was strong. There was so many times, like especially in the lead up to our goal, you saw Trent just telling him, go out right, go out right, go out right. I'm taking the middle spot. You go and cover me. He was strong against Martinelli. I thought Martinelli was very, very quiet all night, even when he was up against Trent. But there were so many times that Konate was just there sweeping up at the back. I thought Ibou Konate was our man of the match tonight. What about you, Chris?
So, it's actually a tough one because as much as I'm disappointed, there's a few who were impressed. I thought all the back four played well, and Endo. So I'm trying to put in my head which one I'd sort of rank above the others. I'll give it Konate because he's took some criticism, and to be fair, he's actually risen to the occasion today. And actually, I thought his passing actually was a lot more incisive today as well, which is another string to his bow. But yeah, look, honourable mentions to Endo, Virgil, Trent, and Gomez. I thought they were all really good. And to fair, Saliba got man of the match for Sky. He was excellent as well for Arsenal. You can't deny it. He was really good.
He's a fucking top center half. And I mean, as Jono says here, he says, in that game, you saw the future of the French national team in Saliba and Konate. So, yeah, happy days for everybody that supports Le Coq. I'm not entirely sure what their mascot name is. What about you, Mr. O'Sullivan? Who'd you like? Player of the game.
Look, for that pass alone, I'd give it to Trent. And that's besides the workload that he went through defensively. Because Martinelli did between Trent and Ibou, Martinelli didn't really have a sniff. Havertz had nothing. Endo was good. I think all across the back four were really good, to be fair. And they all had moments where you could niggle a bit, but in general, so that was possibly Endo's best game for us. Given the context
he
of the game.
Getting better.
Especially that pressure, especially that pace he has to put up with, and he's on an early yellow. He timed everything really well.
Yeah, I thought he did really well. But I thought Trent was outstanding. Defensively, he was brilliant. When he hooked that ball out of the air and started the counter-attack from there. But the pass for Salah, the assist for Salah's goal was outrageous. If that was Kevin De Bruyne doing that, Sky would be running it all week.
There'd be a 30-minute wank session.
By the way, are we all waiting for the 4-day analysis now on how shit Zinchenko is? Because honestly, he does the inverted fullback role for Arsenal. He was dog shit today, and he got absolutely ripped inside out. But there's only one fullback who ever gets pulled up for this sort of stuff. Honestly.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, we've got at least one, if not both, of the Arsenal fans in the chat.
I can't believe he played the full game. I genuinely can't believe it. If I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be wanting Zinchenko to took off ASAP because he was just a weak link.
Let me just ask him. Maybe they can throw their answer into the chat. Arsenal Fan Circle channel and Arsenal for Life. Do you guys think that Arsenal should persist with inverting Zinchenko? Because it's a debate that Liverpool fans have about Trent Alexander-Arnold. And no offense, Trent is leagues above where Zinchenko is. Like, it's not even, they're barely even playing the same game in terms of their quality on the ball. And I would say even defensively, they're probably at worst par, if not Trent's even better than him, as you saw from today. But it's just an interesting take because you do see that there's the 2-3 teams that are trying out doing it. And horses for courses, different player, every player is different sort of thing. And I mean, we're having that debate as Liverpool fans, and then Trent inverts the most inverted he could possibly be today and plays a 70-yard absolute peach of a ball that gives Zinchenko absolutely no chance whatsoever. So I'm all for us continuing with it.
I would say
we just need to figure out where Szoboszlai fits into it.
The one thing I would say is when we play Burnley, I hope Trent doesn't invert as much because I actually think to beat Burnley away, I just think you need width. I think that is where you would tell, and it's going to have to be Trent doing the width because listen, Joe can do it as we saw, but he's always going to cut inside on his right foot. So again, this is where that's my concern is how we're going to get some sort of width on the left. But I would tell Trent to stay a bit wider and get Domo on overlaps and underlaps. I think that, maybe an option, if we have midfielders, an option would be to try Szoboszlai wide because he has played there. But unfortunately, we haven't got enough midfield. We haven't got enough midfielders fit at the moment, sadly.
Yeah. It's getting to that stage. I think we might have to be busy. Well, not busy, but I genuinely look at when you get an option or a chance to improve your squad with a transfer window. You get 2 a year, and I think you can't just snub it because it's January and because the notion is players cost too much.
I'd want a wide forward and a defender.
Nah, not a hope in hell. Not a hope in hell.
I think that's what we need.
Well, that's just makes absolutely no sense. But we've got five defenders at the club.
So we need a defender.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need a defender, yeah, but we've only got space for one. Oh, unless Costas' injury is one that keeps him out for the season, and then he doesn't get registered.
Well, Matip's got. I would assume Matip will get unregistered. Didn't we have a spot before Matip anyway? So I'm assuming Matip will get.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
No.
We'll have to have a look.
No, because my thinking on it was if we were to sign Andre in January, that we wouldn't register Thiago for the second half of the season because I don't think Thiago will ever play for Liverpool ever again. This is something I've talked to you guys about after shows in the past. If he does, all well and good. I just don't think he will. He might now because of the Matip thing, so we can bring a player in and they can take Matip's spot. But I just thought we'd just let Thiago run out his contract, not register him in the squad for the second half of the season. And that frees up a non-homegrown spot for us to do whatever. But I mean, like Roy Fitzgerald, I saved this from earlier in the show. He says, Gomez is now straddling right back and left back backup, along with being starting left back for the next few games. Robbo turns 30 next season. Left back is now becoming another spot into focus. So, the silly season is upon us.
I would even be tempted then to bring in two and unregistered Adrian. He's going in the summer anyway.
It's possible, yeah.
How often do you need? And I think you take the risk of it's a kid as your third choice goalkeeper, which if you look at most squads, the third choice keeper is generally someone who Scott Carson or a kid. That tends to be the way. Yeah. So
I think Joe Gomez is one of the highest. He has one of the most appearances for the club this season. I had it up there.
He's definitely up there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's up there. I had it up here a second ago. I'll find out for you now. Joe Gomez made 23 appearances this season, 3 less than Darwin Núñez on 26, who has the most. I mean, granted, most of those appearances are going to be off the bench, but at the same time, he's carrying a lot of the weight, and for a player who was generally seen as unreliable fitness-wise, we can't afford anymore. We can't afford anymore.
I think we need but I also think we need an early Jan signing, not get a Ben Davis and a Kabak at the last.
No.
Last day, we need to
Andre.
We need to get someone in
I just don't see why on earth we're signing an Andre.
Yeah, I just think we've got a busy January, and we're going to have no Salah for the entire January, and Endo I think will play the Arsenal FA Cup game, then he's gone.
Well, here's some breaking transfer news from Arsenal Fan Circle channel. Word is Arsenal are looking for 3 players this window. I mean, it's incredible considering they couldn't even afford to sign a goalkeeper in the summer, but apparently they've loosened up some purse strings. Maybe Big Daddy Bowley.
No, wrong club. But Arsenal haven't got a pot to piss in. They're so tight on FFP that they had to sign Ray on loan with an obligation to buy. They need to sell 2 players. They need to sell Partey and they need to sell
Harry
Ramsdale. But Ramsdale cost them over 30+ million. They're not getting that back for him. So he's going to be
not as an obligation to buy, but I'm not sure who he goes to. That's got to play that level of money for him.
There is an obligation to buy on Rhea in the summer.
Is it an option or is it option? I thought it was an option.
No, it's not an option. It's an obligation.
That's the way for Ramsdale, isn't it? You load him out with the obligation to buy, but I said it's who's going to do it.
But Arsenal need to free up cash in the club now to be able to sign a player, and they won't be able to get it. You know, it's like Chelsea are in the same boat. Newcastle are very similar. Newcastle are right up against it on FFP. I think that there'll be moves made this January, but I don't think there's going to be massive money spent this January. I think there's an awful lot of clubs at the moment who are up against it on FFP, so not just in England, but on the continent as well. And they need to offload before they can bring players in. And we're luckily enough, we're nowhere near that situation. We are pretty well set at the minute because we've spent and planned really well over the last few windows.
Yep.
So we can do stuff, but we won't get robbed on players. We'll have a value for players and we'll pay it to the value of what we have. But I definitely think we can't ignore this window. 100% can't ignore this window.
I think if you ignore this window, I think you're really jeopardizing a potential league title.
Yeah, and I don't see the hierarchy at the club being that naive to realize that there's an opportunity here. And I mean, with the couple Arsenal fans that we've got in the chat with us tonight, I think the other teams are sitting there, and maybe even Villa fans, of going like, City's not that 95-point juggernaut. No. That everybody just expect them to be. You know, you win 3 Premier Leagues on the trot, you put up 100-point season, you expect them.
But you expect them at some point to kick on a run. Maybe not to get 95 points, but don't kid yourself. You're looking at high 80s. But I still think you're looking at high 80s. I don't think maybe not 95, but I think you look high 80s. And I think last time I looked, I think it's City's current run, they're on target to get like 80, which I do think they'll improve on. So high 80s is going to be your target, you know, which is probably over 2.5 points a game, which I think at the moment not many teams are running that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's all there for it's unbelievably exciting because there's 5, 6, 7 teams that can take points off of anybody in the league. Maybe even more than that. I mean, we saw today Luton Town finally get their home win against a moderate to big team in the Premier League against Newcastle, and they've been threatening it. They took the draw against us. They took Arsenal right to the wire. They took City actually much further than I think a lot of us thought they were going to. But you look at Aston Villa, you look at Spurs on their day, Arsenal, us, City, like all these teams are playing against each other. Who knows what you're going to get in the Jekyll and Hyde that is Chelsea Football Club. Even Manchester United can throw out the odd freak result of, you know, getting a draw at Anfield, sort of thing like that. It's looking like it's going to be an unbelievable sprint to the finish line in 2024, and I, for one, cannot wait for it. I do agree with what you guys were kind of having your little spat before we got on here. These are points that are dropped. you do want to take advantage of it, but it doesn't feel, the stakes don't feel as high as they felt in 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21, 21, 22, where
I think because it just
anytime you drop points,
it doesn't
like,
feel like
it's over.
It doesn't feel like a 2-horse race, which is good. Do you know what? I think if we'd have drawn this game at the Emirates, generally I would have been fine. I generally wouldn't. I think because it's at home, and I kind of feel the home form's going to be one of the big factors. So listen, if we did only 2 draws at home, I'll be more than living with it. But I just felt today, definitely that second half performance, which is much better. We can't deny that's the best we've attacked in a while. Probably should have took the win. But
look, I'm looking at the table here now. Look, I don't think this incarnation of Manchester City are capable of putting a run together like they used to do. I just don't think they're good enough. There's too many flaws in that squad, and that squad isn't deep enough to be able to sustain it long term.
Do you think you're seeing with City what you saw was when we went close for a quad, which we got told was an excuse, and no other club would do this, but I'm a bit like, it is a thing, playing that many games, and even as much as Gary Neville talks about his arse most of the time, even he said, I know they won the league the following after the treble season, but they said themselves, we just couldn't get a spark going in that section. He said, it's just hard. He said, it's hard when you think to get motivated to get it done.
I think Villa, when the Europa Conference starts up, I think they could start to struggle in the second half of the season. They've got a squad who's not used to playing that volume of games long throughout the season. But I think they could go on and win it.
But I do think Villa are favourites probably to finish 4th, though.
Yeah.
I still would fancy Villa to get 4th over Spurs at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment.
But they've got something about them at the moment.
They do, but I just think that at the moment, you're looking at the table, right? And I suppose down to 12th, Fulham are on 21 points. So from 12th up to the top is a 19-point gap. All right? And you're halfway through the season. To me, that's a league where most sides can beat most sides on their day, or most sides can take points off of each other on their day. I don't see this as being a runaway 2-horse. I don't see any side running away with this. There's too many sides in this table with similar goal difference that is making me think that it's going to get to the other side of Easter before anything is kind of on, if you know what I mean. The last few years, we've all been looking at it and we've been thinking, right, get to January, see where you are. And from January, the title run-in starts. I don't think so this year. I think the title run-in this season is going to be from mid-March.
Yeah, it already started. The title run-in has already started. It's not game week 1.
That's media nonsense. And it is. It's driven
but
by
the
media.
Week 1 are worth the exact same as game week 38. It's just context. Points are points, man. We got to put the points up.
It's pressure.
I think this is where the pressure ramps up, though. I think that's been the difference probably from the Prem when we watched it in the 90s and the 2000s is I think the pressure of a title run or being in a title race, I think ramps up earlier and earlier. I think that's also been created by what Liverpool and City have done in the last 5 years. And I just think now every game is made to feel like a must-win, which is why sometimes it's hard when you get a draw. There are contexts where draws are fine. There can be good draws away from home and things like that. But we'll see how the season goes.
Yeah, what I was saying. Oh, go.
I just look at today, and it's a game against a rival. It's a game that you have to come away with it with something, because worst case scenario is you lose and they pull points ahead of you that you can't claw back. At least if you come away with a draw, you're both in the same boat as you started with one game less. But you don't have to play that game again. Yeah? I mean, I think there's 4 sides in this league where you look at it and you think, yeah, they could go either way on their day. I think if you Arsenal, Villa, Spurs, Man City. Depending on how you catch those 4 sides, those games against them can go either way. So it's important when you play those games that you come out of there with something. If you can come out of those games with something and win the rest of them, you're sitting pretty. That's why the game against Burnley on Boxing Day is vital. And Burnley picking up a win. They picked up their win today. We're the kind of scalp on the back of this game, depending on how much it took out of us, that Burnley will look to love, you know. But that Burnley game is arguably more important than today's game, you know, because Arsenal.
Well, today's game is done, so the next game is always the most important.
No, it's games against the sides around you can go either way. You could toss a coin. I honestly said at the start of this game, you could toss a coin. It's a 50-50 game. It could go any way at all. But games against the likes of your Burnleys, your Bournemouths, your Fulhams, you have to win them. If you want to be pushing at the end of the season, you have to win those.
Yeah.
So Boxing Day is huge.
Yeah. Well, it's what I was saying to a few people in the chat before we came on live was just like it was the man whose first name I cannot pronounce for the life of me, McGlinchey, of saying like, you know, these are points drop. We need to have better home form. And I thought, hey, there's a half decent chance that we could get 57 out of 57 points at home this year. You know, 19 home wins. It's a high hope, but I'm a very optimistic person. So dropping the points to United and Arsenal at home, it just means that we have to go to their ground and take the 3 points. Like, you got to get the 4 out of 6. You presume that you're going to get the 3 at home and go there and take a draw. Well, we didn't do that. We got to draw at home. So now that puts the pressure back on us and ramps it up again. So Arsenal, we don't have to wait very long. It's in 6 weeks or something like that. We have the return game against Arsenal in the league. And then United, I think, is March, maybe the end of February or something like that. So we can still rectify these. If you say at the end of the season, in our 2 games against United and Arsenal, we got 4 out of 6 points. You're happy with that. Every year you're happy with that. 4 out of 6 points against 2 of your biggest rivals. We just got to do it the hard way now. And that's why it's all there to play for. It's all there to play for. But thankfully, there's no more. Oh, wait, there is one more game tomorrow because in the Premier League's infinite wisdom, they've decided to schedule a Christmas Eve game, which, everybody's really going to be excited about watching.
Chelsea will win that with dodgy VAR decision against Wolves because, we think VAR's bad for us. Fuck me. Wolves, honestly, have been absolutely shafted by VAR this year.
Gary Cooper is just going to have a train car full of coal dumped out. Not Gary
honestly,
Cooper.
I don't know how Wolves fans cope with it because, honestly, Wolves fans have been absolutely shafted by VAR. It's unreal some decision they've given against them. It's ridiculous.
Presumably they just go out and howl at the moon late at night sort of things. But, gentlemen, before we get out of here, do you got anything to add? Anybody want to touch on some of the ridiculous comments we've seen about how we need to sell certain ones of our players? Because
I've seen Szoboszlai needs to be sold, which is wild.
Yeah.
Diaz needs to be sold.
Yep.
Wild. You know what I mean? Yep. Players go through dips, and no player is perfect. I actually thought Szoboszlai today was fine defensively. I think going forward, he needs to probably improve. But remember, Szoboszlai, like Gravenberch, have never played this time of the year. They've played in Germany, where they have by now the winter break. They used to be off now.
Yeah.
This is where they recharge. That takes a bit of getting used to. So listen, but it's always the way. Look, listen, everyone was telling us 2 weeks ago. That's what they get. I mean,
he can't even say his name correctly. So obviously,
I don't know, Kev. He wants Pet Lindsay to take over from Klopp, which blows me mind as well. But that's a whole different conversation we're going to go into. Listen, everyone's telling me after we drew United, if we start Gakpo, the world will be a better place. And if I'm honest, I don't think Gakpo was great tonight. I don't think Nunes was much better, to be fair. But I do think Nunes probably should have started because the one thing Nunes will give you is the directness, which I think at the moment we probably need. And Diaz hasn't given us that directness. So, look, we are where we are. Ultimately, am I disappointed? Yeah, because I do think in the last couple of games I have been disappointed. But listen, we're a point off top with 20 games to go. There's loads to play for, but it's fine. Look, the way I see it, I think it's fine to be disappointed with today. That's how I see it. I'm disappointed. Yeah. I think we should have done better, and I think I think there's 2 or 3 opportunities this season we've missed to probably put a bit of a marker down. But it's a point off top, so I'm not also going to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say that's it. We're not in a title race. And anyone says anyone who starts this Liverpool aren't in a title race, Liverpool aren't ready for a title. Liverpool are in a title race. don't kid yourself that they're not. They are in one. So
I think the chat have been on the cans. I think they've all been on the cans. They've all been with me.
As we all should be, Kev. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Exactly. Well, I don't care. I don't care about the games now. They're all done. I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to watch the rest of the boxing. I just want to wish everyone happy Christmas, happy holidays. Whatever way you want to celebrate this, celebrate it. Hope you all have your family around you, and I hope you all have an absolute fantastic break. And plenty of cans, plenty of food, plenty of laughs, and enjoy yourselves. It's the most important thing. Just enjoy yourselves. Forget about football now. We are where we are. We're second in the league, point off Arsenal, and we've got it all to play for. Happy days.
No, I agree with what Kev's saying, and I still love Kev. I know we always fall out. I still love Kev still. Matt, you're all right as well.
Yeah, it comes back around. Bejan Pops LFC saying Merry Christmas. I'm pretty sure that's a Barbados flag. I'm pretty sure that's a Barbados flag. Correct me if I'm wrong. So obviously not going to be a white Christmas for Bejan if he's down in Barbados, if they're down in Barbados. But yeah, I mean, thanks again, everybody, for joining us. We know it's the Christmas season. We still got 130 some people in here tonight. If you can all hit the like button on your way out, that would just be all fine and dandy for everybody here. But mostly it's everybody have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, however you guys choose to celebrate it. There's obviously not going to be a show tomorrow, no Sunday night show because, I mean, it's Christmas Eve. Let's be realistic. We're not expecting Gav and Keith and Emmett and Shawnee to come on here and do a show on Christmas Eve. So this is it for us until after the Christmas break. I'm not sure who's doing the post-match to our Boxing Day game because I'm off to go see family, like you were saying, Kev. Yeah,
me too.
Maybe I'll have to say that from farm internet.
I would say there probably isn't one. Let's be fair.
There will be a show. I'm around anyway, so there will be one.
There you go.
One thing,
I'll be drunk somewhere.
Listen, make sure you've hit like, subscribe. Make sure your bell icons are on, especially at this time of year. Make sure the bell icon is on, and you've turned your notifications on your phone to allow YouTube to send you notifications when we go live. Because that's what I found an awful lot of people when you hit the notifications on. If you haven't got your notifications on your device, you're not going to know. But yeah, look, I'm pretty certain there will be shows. There'll be random shows all through Christmas. No doubt in my mind. Yeah. So just keep your notifications on. If you want to join it and become a member of the club, then $3.99. The details are in the description of how to join. I'd love for more people to join because it really helps the channel out a lot. And you can get involved in the Telegram and be involved in the Chronicles for the start of the new year when we've got loads more shows coming as well.
That's the most important thing, the Chronicles. And we're getting very close to hitting the 100 members marker. And once we hit that 100 members marker, Gav will be raffling off another prize for everybody that has signed up to be a member of the Talkin Kop community. But also, super important, if you're not a member, you still get all the shows free. You just have to wait a little while to get some of them. You miss out on the crack that is taking part in Gav's 30 in the morning that he does in the morning time, which is more than worth the price of membership. But speaking of the price of membership, again, don't forget about our little contest we got going with footballprizes.co.uk for a signed and framed Dominic Szoboszlai shirt. I'm sure Nigel's already bought at least 10 or 12 tickets because he seems like he's the biggest Szoboszlai fan in the entire world. I'm just having a little fun with you there, Nigel. Don't take any offense over it all whatsoever. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. It's finished at Anfield. Liverpool won. Arsenal won. We're 1 point off the top of the table going into Christmas. It was a fun game. Thank you very much to Chris Brack. Thank you very much to Kev O'Sullivan. The early departer, Chris Goldie, who's off by this point playing with Kev's horn player. Have a Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. Oh, shit, Nigel just gifted a membership. We got to stay on for 2 minutes.
Quick. Grab it.
Yeah, somebody's got to grab this membership.
Someone's got to grab that gift membership now.
I don't know what happens if I end the stream.
No, you can't end the stream until someone takes it. Someone's got to take it.
Sam Tandy, the big winner. Sam Tandy, it is a Christmas miracle. Nigel, in all of his Christmas joy, has gifted a membership that Sam Tandy has gobbled up. Good man, Nigel. Thank you for being a good sport about everything. Dominic Szoboszlai is going to score an absolute cracker of a goal in our next game just for you, Nigel, just for you. Thank you, Nigel. Congratulations, Sam Tandy. Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you on the other side of everything. Bye-bye.